There you go.
You ready? We're going? I can't see it, so. All righty. Welcome to Kabbalah of Adam. We are in the Trek continuation here on the continuation of the secrets of the 7 laws. Or I've been posting the secret of the 7 laws, but it's really the secrets of the 7 laws, right? And let's get right into it. I know that a lot of people are probably wanting me to get into the 7 laws, but if we don't build our correct foundation and go into each little intricate detail of what's going on, we're not going to have the secrets. You know, we'll just have the 7 laws and move on. And so what my goal for this class is, for this series is to really have a documentation of I don't want to say the most documented series on the 7 laws that there is, because there's a lot of stuff written on the 7 laws. But from the perspective of the non-Jew doing it, I think we're going to have a little bit different take on it. So anyway, because most non-Jews that come to Torah convert to Judaism, right? When you leave Christianity, you convert from Christianity to Judaism. That doesn't mean you become a Jew. You become Jewish, you know, because all your Christian friends will think you're a Jew, you know, and all the Jews will think you're a non-Jew, which is fine. That means you've succeeded, right? You've done the conversion. So without further ado, let's get in it. We're going to have an exciting class today with a lot of cool information. I think everybody's going to like it. So let's start with our prayer. Ruler of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and that you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us for such a big favor? That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, and they should not bring separation between you and us. And may it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken, prepare our hearts to love and revere you. And may you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden studies of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor as aroma of sweet incense. And may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants, through which you revealed your wisdom to the world, shine. And may their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit enlighten our eyes in our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I will see the wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. Mm-hmm. All right. Real quick, turn to Genesis 15 and verse 2. Abraham was known as a man that brought people to Hashem. That was his thing, right? He taught the oneness of God all the time. That was his thing, right? So he had a ger in his house named Eliezer, right? That was his non-Jew buddy. He was the Hashmal, Eleazar was the Noga, right? So when they learned Torah together, just like Antoninus and the Rebbe, just like David and Arona, just like Judah and Hira, just like Solomon and Hiram, just like all the other Jew non-Jews within the Torah, that allows the signal, that allows the Torah to run and return from the inner to the outer, from the inner to the outer. This is Ritzov V'Shov. This is Masa Breshit, Masa Merkava. Okay? So they had that. All right? And how do we know they had that? So, if you look in the verse, it says, and Abraham said, my Lord Hashem Elohim. So there's the whole thing. There's Adonai, Elohim, Havayah. There's the whole gestalt, right? What can you give me, seeing that I go childless? And the steward of my house is the Damascene Eleazar. So he's asking him a question. All right? And the question is, why does he call him the Damascene? Right? So the Talmud tells us that the word Damascene is made up of the word doli mesek. And doli mesek means to draw water and give a drink. That he would draw from the den to Hesed. So Abraham would teach him the Torah, change him from den to Hesed, and then he would give those a drink. So not only did Abraham teach him, Eleazar taught the others. So this is a very intricate part of being a non-Jew. As when you learn the Torah, when you receive, you must give. You know, because it's drawing down. You're drawing down and you're creating that whole loop. Giving and receiving. Giving and receiving. You receive, you give it back up, you receive more. The whole Masa Merkava, Masa Breshit system. So, with that in mind, let's get right into our Torah. Remember, last week we ended with a deal on blasphemy. And if you remember in, let's see, that was Leviticus. What was it there? Leviticus 24. Leviticus 24. The son of the Israelite woman pronounced the name and blasphemed. So we had started in Sanhedrin. If you have Sanhedrin, which is book number 48, you will want to turn to 56A1, or rather we'll go ahead and start on 55B4. We're going to do just a little review here. Book 48. I might have said 49. And if you remember, I showed everyone the word Nokev, Shem, Havayah, which I'll put it back up here again. Right here above my finger. Can they see that good on the video? Mm-hmm. Okay, right there. What?
It was trying to reconnect.
Oh, do I need to put it back up? Is it up?
It's up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, can you see that? All right, right there. Now, I wrote it on the board over here, and we're going to bring it up here for good reason here in a second. All right? So, remember, in blasphemy, which is one of the Sheva Mitzvahs Noah, the Mishnah says on 55B4, the Mishnah discusses the next prohibition as liable to death by stoning blasphemy. The blasphemer is not liable to execution unless he pronounces the divine name. And we went into all of the things where people are pronouncing the divine name. And they're not doing it in teaching. I can pronounce the divine name if I want to, if I'm teaching. Because that's sanctifying the name. Because it's in the Torah. You're teaching Torah. You know? You're actually bringing sanctification. All right? Not that we're going to do it. We still say Havayah, Elohim, Adonai, you know, stuff like that. Echia, Shaddai, we still say all those things. Yahuyo, which is default Bina. Okay? So, go to 56A. This is in the Mishnah. Whenever the judge examines the witnesses, they do use a pseudonym, asking the witness, for example, whether the accused said, "May Yossi strike Yossi." Now, why would the sages not say, "Did he blaspheme the name of Hashem?" But they use this term, "May Yossi strike Yossi," because they're revealing the whole matter and concealing the whole matter, which is what they do. Yossi. Now, if you will, they don't have it there, but the term Yossi is the same gematria as Elohim. All right? So, Elohim can mean Elohim, singular, and it can mean Elohim, little e, other gods. Right? So, did you take little Elohim and strike big Elohim? You see what they're doing? Because the word nokev means to hit or to pierce. To pierce. Which is hitting the hay. Which is hitting the Shekhinah of Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So remember, the son of the Israelite woman hit the hay, which is the Shekhinah, which is blasphemy. Blasphemy is also, we're going to find out, is mocking. Right? Okay, so we hold that. Now, what I did here for us is, we know from our verse here, can everybody see that on the screen? Mm-hmm. The Nokev Shem Havayah. Remember, Rosh Tevis in Hebrew means you take the first letter of each word. That is part of the, you can adjust it if you want. That's part of the code. You can take the first letter of each word and it always is going to be specific. Because the words are used in an order that is very specific in Hebrew. Mm-hmm. Nokev means to blasphemy, means blasphemy. But the word nokev means to pierce, make a hole. Or to strike. Shem, the name of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, which is what that verse says. And remember, if you read it backwards, Yud, Shin, Vav, that spells Yeshu. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right? Now, I wrote a couple more up here for us too. Yamak, Shemo, Vayikro. Read this one straight. So this one goes this way, this one goes this way, and this one goes that way. Sort of like the 72 name of God. Okay? Yamak, Shemo, Vayikro. Yud, Shin, Vav. Yeshu. This was said about Haman. May his name and memory be erased. So, may his name and memory be erased is Yeshu. All right? So let's look at one more, and it's going to be Yeter Sa'et Vayeter Oz. Yeter Sa'et Vayeter Oz. Now remember, which spells Yeshu. Okay? Now remember, in Torah, you cannot curse. It's called a blessing. So turn to Genesis. Genesis 49. I believe it's 49. I hope it is. All right, 49 verse 3. Reuben. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my strength, which means his first emission, his first drop, my strength, and my initial vigor. Foremost in rank and foremost in power. Foremost in rank and foremost in power. Is he saying you are my firstborn? Okay. That term there is Yeter Sa'et Vayeter Oz in Hebrew. spells Yeshu. Turn the page. Because what did he do? Water-like impetuosity. You cannot be foremost because you mounted your father's bed, then you desecrated him who ascended my couch. Is it back? Because that's the Shekhinah. He dishonored the Shekhinah, the name. He blasphemed the name with his actions. So blaspheme is not just this or that. It's many, many things. All right? So what you have to what I'm going to teach you today is the whole Yeshu and the whole Yeshu Hanotri. Every time you debate someone using Talmud about Yeshu, they will always say, oh, that rabbi was several hundred years after Yeshu, so it couldn't have been that because he was a second century and Yeshu was first century and da-da-da-da. You're missing the point. I just showed in Esther, in in Leviticus, and in Genesis, Yeshu. In not a good way. Because Yeshu is the name of the Sitra Akra of the backside. It's the name of the Klippa. Regardless if it's put on a person. Well, his name's Yeshua. Yeshua. It's the exact same thing. Because then they'll take Yeshu Sar HaPanim from the first century Tanim in the Siddur on Rosh Hashanah. It says Yeshu Sar HaPanim. That's right, it does. Because that's the backside of Moshe. Metatron Sar HaPanim is what Moshe's name stands for. Front side, backside. That's why when we did the class the other day on Moshe's death, what did Rav Vali do? Immediately he brought in the blasphemer. Because he's going to make his words, which we know is the New Testament. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay? So that's front side, backside. We always have to deal with Psalms 139 verse 5. You form me back and front. Okay? Because when the fall, we are in the backside. That's the world we live in. And that's why the whole Yeshu thing is such a big deal. And they cleave to it because it's in 3D. So, let's now get deeper into this because it has to deal with the 7 laws specifically. All right? So, if you have, if you brought Gittin is book number 35, right here. Book number 35. And you need to turn to 56 rather, B3. 56 B3 is where we are headed. Let me know when you get there. 56 B3. It's toward the front. Did you get the right getting over there?
35.
It's book 35.
I wasn't children.
It's in about the first quarter of it, like this right here. 56 B3. Remember, Moses looked at the Egyptian, he looked this way and that way to see if anything was good going to come out of him. Mm-hmm. Right? And he killed him. But he had already impregnated the Jewish girl. Right? Remember, the son of the Israelite man was brought in before Moses. And remember what we taught. Moses said, let's take him out to the people. By the mouth of Hashem will he be judged by stoning for the blasphemer. Right? Because we're talking blasphemy. because Moses already knew nothing good was going to come out of that man. So Moses knew who the kid was. Right? And we already know that this kid is the Gilgal of Yeshu HaNotri. All right? So we can see, that's why I taught y'all that piece, because we got to connect the dots, because we got to go to this piece. All right? And the brother of Jacob is Esau. If you put a yud on Esau, it spells Yeshu. Okay? Now, 56b-3. The narrative resumes. Y'all see it? Right-hand column. 56b-3, right-hand column, where it says the narrative resumes. When Titus was dying, he told those present, burn the man, meaning himself, burn me, and scatter the ashes over the 7 seas. There's our 7. So that the God of the Jews will not find him and stand him in judgment. The Gemara cites a related incident. Onkelos, who was the son Kilonikos, the son of Titus's sister. So Titus was his uncle. He went and raised through the spirit, through necromancy, Titus. Now, is necromancy one of the 7 laws? Yes. Why? Because the 30 laws say you can't do it. Because the 30 laws are just the 7 laws expanded. Because this is going to the other side. This is eating a limb in union with the other side, which means it's idolatry, which means it's blasphemy, which means it's the limb of a living animal, which means it's theft from the front side, which means it's murder from the front side, da-da-da-da-da. All right? So this is a good point to interject this kasha. Okay? The 7 laws are just the basic platform. So a kasha was brought to me today. If a Jewish boy is not under the 613 laws until he is 13, what is he when he is 10? And what laws is he under? The 7? Can he be an idolater? Can he practice necromancy, sorcery? Can he contact a Yidonai? No. How about the same 8-year-old non-Jewish boy? Because the 7 laws are for ish, all man. Whether he accepts them upon himself or not, he is still liable under them. Okay? That's very important. So is he Ger Toshav? What is it? What is he? Onkelos. Onkelos wanted to convert. So he went, what does convert to Judaism mean? Now, Onkelos eventually fully converted, right? But what does that mean? So he went and raised the spirit of Titus through necromancy. Onkelos asked him, who is prominent in that world, the world to come? Titus answered him, Israel. Onkelos asked him, should I join them, convert to Judaism? Titus answered him, their laws are numerous, and you will not be able to fulfill them. Go and attack them in that world, in the world of Elom Hazeh. Go attack them, and you will become a leader. For it is written, Israel's enemies have become leaders. Lamentations 1:5. Are those who attack Israel not leaders in this world today? Esau and Ishmael, Christianity and Judaism? Absolutely. Who is Titus? The word leaders here is Rosh, means the head. They are the head. What is the head of the Klippa? Who is it? Titus. He's the top guy of Rome. What is Rome's religion? Yeshu HaNotri. The world of Bia, Berea, Yetzirah, and Asiya of the Klippas is Esau, and that is Titus in Torah. What is the redemption of Esau? The head of Esau, the actual Rosh, not the head here, the 4D head, which is the Ger Toshav, which is those who accept the 7 laws B'nai Noah. Continue. He is punished with, so he asked him, what is his punishment? He's basically asking him, so what's your punishment in Gehenna? Right? He says, every day his ashes are gathered and he is judged. Then he is burned and his ashes are scattered over the 7 seas. Onkelos went and raised the spirit of Balaam through necromancy. Why Balaam? So you have the head of the deal, right? And now you have the head prophet. There's never been a greater prophet in the nations than Balaam. He's picking the top people because the top people should know. He went and raised Balaam through necromancy. Onkelos asked him, who is prominent in Olam Haba, in the world to come? Balaam answered him, Israel. Should I join them and convert to Judaism? Balaam answered him, neither seek their place nor their benefit all their days. Onkelos said, so what is the punishment of the man that does this? He answered him, I am punished in boiling semen. Now, we're going to take boiling semen, we're going to set it over here as a metaphor. Right? Let's call it a metaphor. Because we're talking 4D Torah here, not 3D Torah. And we have to ask ourselves, why would the sages use this term? What did Balaam do?
He blessed Israel.
He tried to curse Israel, but he blessed Israel. But what did he try to do to get them to sin?
Sexual stuff.
Sexual stuff. With the Midianite women, remember, they would set up out their tent. They were beautiful and they were dressed and they were pole dancers, right? They were all dressed in their clad stuff, and they would set a rock in front, and you had to defecate on the rock. And if you defecated on the rock, which is how they worship their god, then you could go have as much union with these women as you wanted. So why did they use boiling semen? Because spilling seed, that's the light, the Shefa of creation, feeds the other side. They're using this term to let you know what they are feeding. That it's drawing the Shefa, right? It's not going to the Shekhinah. It's not going to the Nukva. It's idolatry. It's blasphemy. Here we go, right? It's transgressing every 7 law. So is spilling seed transgressing 7 laws? You bet it is. All right? So let's continue. He answered, so should I join them? Hold on, let me back up. I lost my spot. Okay. He says, I'm punished in boiling semen. Now, if you have the Babylonian Talmud, it's probably redacted out of yours. I have it, I have one of the older versions on my phone where the name is not redacted. But if you will look in the note and 4 down there, it says, although they use the expression in the plural form as sinners in brackets, the narrative here refers to a specific sinner. You have to understand, they took the name, they redacted the name of Yeshu HaNotri out of the book because of anti-Semitism. But I have plenty copies of the original. All right? So now Onkelos is going to go raise Jesus of Nazareth right here from the dead. And here's what happens. So Onkelos then went and raised the sinner of Israel through necromancy. Who is prominent in that world, the world to come? He answered Onkelos, Israel. Should I join them, convert to Judaism? He answered Onkelos, seek their benefit, do not seek their harm. For whoever touches them is the one who touches the pupil of his eye. Why would he use the apple of his eye, the pupil of his eye? Because the black part in your eye is the malchut. Because it has nothing, it's black, it has nothing of its own. But that's where it gathers all the light. Right? Your pupil gathers all the light. And what is the malchut? The land, Israel. They're the malchut. What is also the malchut? The Shekhinah. Don't harm the Shekhinah. For whoever harms the Jewish people harms himself, he says. Onkelos asked him, what is that? What is your punishment? He answered Onkelos, I am punished in boiling feces, according to which the master did. Whoever mocks the words of the sages is mocked in boiling feces. Why did he bring up mocking the sages? Remember what Yeshu HaNotri said. You have heard it said, but I say. What did the son of the Israelite woman do in Leviticus 24? Did he not mock the showbread and mock Moses and mock the whole thing? Is this the way to treat your father? Right? He's a mocker, which is blasphemy. And what do all Christianity do when you bring up the Talmud? They mock it. Oh, that's just the writings of men. Yeshu did the same thing. He mocked the Sanhedrin. All right? What is feces? It's the waist. It's the klipa. It's just the backside. It's just where they are. Whether he's in it or not, it doesn't matter. It's what they're using to give you dimensionality and coordinates of what they did. Right? And so, and they're going to argue with you all day. They missed the point. It's not the persona. What's a good term for it? It's the oversoul. It's the oversoul of the thing that mocks the Shekhinah, that does the blasphemy. Reuben, the son of the Israelite woman, Haman, Gehazi, Cain, right? And of course, the Nakash, right? Did God say? Did God say? Really not? Did God say not eat? You couldn't do that? Will you surely die? Did God say you're supposed to keep the Torah? Oh no, we got our own deal. We don't have to do that. We're free from all that. See? That's the Nakash. That's the Sitra Akra. That's the oversoul of Yeshu HaNotri. Right? That's the oversoul. And every question was about one thing. Do I convert? Do I become Ger, Gerim, Gera? Do I elevate? Do I accept do I become a non-idolater? Do I accept the Sheva mitzvahs? Do I expand and accept the 30 and go to 66 and then eventually when Mashiach gets here, all those people will be Gertzedek. All right? So, if you look real carefully, we're going to go through this next piece, and it will explain everything. Because right here in the middle of this discussion, they throw in something unexpected. We're talking about raising people from the dead with necromancy, right? This is before Uncle is converted, so he was into sorcery and necromancy and every form of idolatry, right? So here we go. The Gemara comments on the difference between the responses given by Bilam and the response given by Yeshu HaNotri, the center of Israel. So look what they're doing. They're fixing to compare Bilam and Yeshu. The prophet and the priest. Right? Jesus is priest of priest. Right? He's the head, he's the order of Melchizedek. All the king of kings, Lord of lords, priest of priests. So they're fixing to compare the two here. And where are they going to take it? They're going to take it all the way back to the Ein Sof. Come and see what a difference there is between Yeshu HaNotri of Israel and the prophets of the idol-worshipping nations of the world. The sinner, Yeshu HaNotri, advised Onkelos to seek the benefit of the Jews, whereas Balaam, who was a prophet of the nations of the world, advised Onkelos not to seek the benefit of the Jews. Of course, why did Yeshu say seek the benefit of the Jews? You see, his mother was Jewish. Right? His daddy was the Roman, who is where he got the Gilgal from the Egyptian. Just like the son of the Israelite woman. So what do they have to do? They have to cover up and make an immaculate conception, because God forbid we let them know who this mamzer is, which is an Israelite that has either a goy mom or a goy dad. He's a mamzer. But mamzers are brilliant people, very intelligent. Okay? The Gemara has related that the chain of events triggered by the incident concerning Kamsa and Bar Kamsa accumulated with the destruction of the temple. The Gemara concludes its account in this incident and its aftermath with the following observation. It was taught in a brisa. Rabbi Eliezer said, "Come and see how great is the power of shame. For the Holy One, blessed be He, assisted Bar Kamsa in his plot to take revenge for the shame to which he had been subjected. And he destroyed his temple and burned down his sanctuary." What happened during the time of Yeshu HaNotri?
Temple burnt.
They destroyed the temple and they burnt it down. What is the secret, the sod of Kamsa Bar Kamsa? Y'all remember? Tzimtzum and son of Tzimtzum. It's the Tzimtzum. This din, this Balaam and this Yeshu, the oversouls, is the din of the Guvarot creating the next backside of the Tzimtzum. When did it happen? When did you have Ein Sof goes to Or Ein Sof. Or Ein, there you go. There's Kamsa Bar Kamsa. And then it goes into the world of Adam Kadmon, into the world of Nekudim. Akudim, and into the world of Nekudim. And then we have the showering of the vessels, which is the beginning of our Sheva Mitzvahs, which is the fall of the kings of Edom, which is Esau, which is Yeshu falling into the backside, into the waste, which is the secret that the Jews have to clean up, which is called making gerim, which is getting those sparks out. which is why the Jews Abraham's children had to go to Egypt, get the 70 souls and bring them out. And it's a perpetual thing. It's been a never not thing. And Yeshu, and we know that Bilam is the backside da'at of Moshe Rabbeinu. Yeshu's just the same thing. It's just Yesod. Da'at, Yesod. Kamsa, Bar Kamsa. And what is the Even Shtia in Jerusalem? The foundation stone? What do they say? Oh, Jesus' foundation stone. What is the foundation stone? The Even Shtia? It's where you put the Ark of the Covenant. It's what they tore down at 70 AD, whatever, right? What day are they discussing here? The 9th of Av. Mm-hmm. The oversoul of the 9th of Av is this entire thing. What is the opposite of all the din and destruction? Gerah, pulling it out. What's the opposite of blasphemy? Sanctification of the name. So, now, remember what I said about nothing good came out of him, of the boy. There's Yeshu. Nothing good came out of him. Right? He was called the blasphemer by Rava a couple classes ago. So, turn the pages. Turn to 57b1. This whole thing is talking about bad people, and this 57b1 is talking about the guy basically who killed Zechariah. Talking about a bunch of bad people. And look at the right hand column, and it right before see where it says, having mentioned that Nebuchadnezzar converted to Judaism. Mm-hmm. See where it says that right above that? Mm-hmm. So this guy that basically kills Zechariah converted to Judaism. All right? So then it's going to list us some bad people's kids that converted to Judaism. All right? So, having mentioned that, I'm going to call him Nebu, converted to Judaism, the Gemara cites in a brisa that enumerates other enemies of Israel who became associated with Judaism. The Tana taught in a brisa, Naaman was a resident convert. Ger Toshav. Nebuzaradan was a righteous convert. The descendants of Haman taught Torah in Bnei Barak. The descendants of Sisera taught the children in Jerusalem. And the descendants of Sennacherib taught Torah in public. What is that teaching us? I'll give you an example. I grew up in a German household. I mean, crap German household. I am Heinrich Mattlage the 21st. My family's mantra was, the only mistake Hitler didn't make was he didn't finish the job. Now, look at where I am today. Because the klipa, the nitzots, there's holy nitzots bedded sometimes in the most wicked people on the earth, or evil people in the backside. That's where the vessel's shattered. That's where it's all at. That's why the 7 laws are designed, because of the shattering of the vessels of the 7 kings of Edom, to bring those nitzots out. So what did so Jacob said? I think it was Joseph. Joseph, remember he sent his father basically what he did. The last thing they studied, he sent him that because that way he would know he was alive. But he had to go back because he had to get some jars. The jars were the nitzots. It's metaphor. The jars were the nitzots of those gerim that he connected himself to. Right? Of the 70 nations. So, look in the note. And if you've ever learned one thing in Torah, you must learn this. The note on the right-hand column, it's basically note 5. We'll start in 5 on the left-hand column, bottom note. Naaman was the chief general of Amram. He was cured by Sara'at, right? By leprosy, by Elisha, the prophet. Why did he have that? Because it's the skin. Remember? It's all about the skin, the Noga. By Elisha the prophet. Thereupon he vowed to refrain from idolatry in 2 Kings 5, 1 through 19. He did not accept upon himself any of the other mitzvahs. Rashi just said he was just a non-idolater. Right? We will see about that. Because we will read it. So, the Gemara says in Avodah Zarah 64b, it cites 3 different Tanaic views as to the definition of a Ger Toshav, a resident convert. Okay? Now, let me get my board here, because we got to do some Gera elevation. There's one view. There are 2 views. There's 3 views. There's 4 views. We're going to do it like this. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. Now that's not a correct spherotic structure, but it's going to work for what we're doing. The first view of a Ger Toshav, is right here. A Gentile who accepts upon himself to refrain from idolatry. Check. B, the next view, number 2, a Gentile who accepts upon himself to observe the Sheva Mitzvahs Noah. He's going to do the 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He is called a Ger Toshav. Toshav. So this guy's a Ger Toshav. And this guy who does the 7 laws, he's Ger Toshav. Why? He's got to be Gera. Okay? Number 3. A Gentile who has accepted upon himself, see that? Accepted upon himself. He didn't ask nobody. To observe all the Torah commandments. How many of them?
6.
All of them. Gonna be 30. But he can accept all. All the Torah commandments except for the prohibition of eating the meat of the animal not slaughtered in the manner prescribed by halakha. Nevela. Which is in Holland, remember 91, when we read the 30 laws? You do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, but you got to eat Nevela. Right? So here's the next guy. This was guy A. This was guy B. This is guy C. All right? So we're going to the 4th one. Such an individual is called a Ger Toshav because he's permitted, he doesn't have to, he's permitted to dwell together with the Jews in the land of Israel. Rambam. Now, and note 6 there, as opposed to a full convert, which is this guy right here. Why is there 4? Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. That's why. Okay? Because the Hey is important. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Because the Hey is connected with idolatry, which is the secret of every law. You break that one, you've broken them all. All right? So this becomes very important. So, the Rambam here in Hilkos Ishura Bia 14:7 is going to say the thing that every person in the world is going to tell you. That there's no Gerto Shav until Jubilee. Right? That's the Rambam. Rambam. The Ravad is right there in the Talmud. And what the Ravad comes and says, he goes, the Rambam is right, but let me explain. He says, there are always Ger Toshav. But we do not, when we're in exile, when we're in Katnut, we do not take care of them. Because we can't afford it. But when we are in Jubilee, we're in godless. So the Ger Toshav, when we're in Katnut, when we're in Godlut, expansion, then we accept them. Because we take care of them. They will pay for everything. Right? And he goes on to say that even though there are Ger Toshavs, this is going to be the land of Israel. Even though there are Ger Toshavs in the land of Israel, they can be in Jerusalem. But during Jubilee, they cannot be. They have to be outside of Jerusalem. Why? Because when Israel is in exile, the land is filled with all kind of stuff. But when they come back, they are the Or Pinimi. They are the center. They are the Hashmal. So if this is going to be Jerusalem, you have the inner, just like the rings on a tree, right? So here's her Noga. The Noga's got to be on the outside, and the Hashmal has to be on the inside. The Ravad comes and explains it. All right? So, it's not the fact that there is no Ger Toshav today, because there is Ger Toshav today. If you accept the 7 laws, you are Ger Toshav.
But we don't poskim by the Rabbah.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Who are the Ger Toshav that they're going to accept in the Jubilee? Because during Jubilee, we've already learned they will not accept any converts. So they must already exist. You can't accept You cannot accept something that doesn't already exist.
There you go.
It's impossible. Because it's about the Nitzos returning. It's about the Adamic body returning. It's about the structure being built and the Noga surrounding it and the light emanating out. It's about the light. It's about going from skin or with an ayin to light or with an aleph. All right? So, we have to ask ourselves, is that true? If they poskin like that, is there no Gertoshavs outside the land? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. If you will look at, how much time we got, Brandon? Give me my time.
About 5 minutes.
Good. If you will go to, this book is Tractate Sanhedrin, which is book number 49. Book number 49. Y'all got it? 96b3. 96b3. Naaman was a resident convert, a ger toshav. And look what it says. In note 26, Naaman, chief general of Ammon, was cured of Sarah by the prophet Elisha. Convinced that the God of Elisha was true God, Naaman vowed to refrain from idolatry. But he did not accept upon himself any other mitzvahs. Really. Okay? The Gemara in Avodah Zarah 64b cites there's 3 Tanaic views that describe a resident convert. Again, it states, a Gentile who has accepted upon himself to refrain from idolatry. B, a Gentile who has accepted upon himself to observe the Sheva mitzvahs Noah. C, a Gentile who has accepted upon him to observe all the Torah commandments except the prohibition against eating prohibited foods. Nevada, Rashi. Right? Mm-hmm. Such an individual is called a resident convert and is permitted to reside together with the Jewish people in Eretz Israel. Fine. You have to have somebody to be permitted to live there. So let's now turn to Kings. They want us to go to Kings. That's the proof text. That's where we got to go.
First Kings, Second Kings.
2 Kings 5. Second Kings 5. What does it mean? Onkelos is asking Yeshu HaNotri about conversion. Right? That's how we got here. Mm-hmm. And the Gemara then goes on to explain what conversion is. And it cites all the mean people. Right? Mm-hmm. Naaman, Sennacherib, Haman's sons, good grief. Look at all the people, bad guys that it cited that went to Torah. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to teach the fact that it's about the nitzo that may be embedded in the father that has to be withdrawn. That's what the daughters of Lot did. David was in Lot. Because Lot's name means curse. Lot means curse. And so they extracted that seed that would eventually be David. That was what that was all about. Right? From Sodom and Gomorrah. Why were the people of Sodom and Gomorrah killed? Because they would not accept wayfarers. Is that one of the 7 laws? You bet it is. It's called kindness. That was the reason. It's right there in Avodah Zarah. In Gittin, right past that verse. It's the next thing. Mm-hmm. It talks about why Sodom was destroyed. Because they wouldn't accept wayfarers. Is that something somebody needs to tell you to be nice to somebody? Are you supposed to let somebody starve to death? Do I need to say, I'll give you another commandment on the 7th one, don't let somebody starve to death? Does God really have to do that? Would I really have to tell you? Would I really have to tell you don't beat cats to death in the alley? That's not good? Well, it's not one of the 7 laws. So animal cruelty's fine? Really? That's where this whole thing has gotten to.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
The letter of the law, not the spirit of the law.
You know? So let's look here. We will end with this. If you have this book, which is the Book of Kings, Art Scroll, and you're turning to page 270 in it, which is 2 Kings 5. So we already know that Naaman was cured from sore ox. In 15, verse 15, and he returned to the man of God, he and his entire company. And he arrived and stood before him and said, behold, behold. Every time we see a behold, there's a dimensionality shift. What dimension shifted? He shifted from the front side to back side. That's hine. That's Metatronic. Now I know. There's the ot. There's knowledge. There's the old Leviathan from the first few classes. That there is no Elohim in the whole world except in Israel. Now please accept a tribute from your servant. He's a servant now. He's a Na'ar. Now he's a Metatron. But Elisha answered him, as Hashem, whom before I stood lives, I will not accept. And he urged him to accept, but he refused. So Naaman said, at least let there be given your servant a mule team load of earth. For your servant will never again offer an elevation offering or any sacrifice to other Elohim, but only to Hashem. Okay? And I'm fixing to hit you with the biggest caution in the world. So look at the note in 17. Since he now recognized the power and greatness of Hashem, Naaman asked for permission to take a large load of soil from the Holy Land to Amram. And with it, he would build an altar upon which he would bring offerings to the God of Israel. Rashi. Thanks, Rashi. You know he's taking dirt. But you say he only is a non-idolater. Fine. These and these are the words of the living God. Naaman could have taken earth without Elisha's permission, but he did not want his newfound religious observance to be tainted by theft. Uh-oh. Is theft not one of the Sheva mitzvahs Noach? Mm-hmm. Does he not know theft is part of idolatry? Stealing something from God is idolatrous. And giving it to the other side? That's the Radak. Naaman promised that he would no longer serve idols. The sages say in Gittin 57b, we just read that. And to teach that he became a ger toshav, a resident convert, i.e., a Gentile who observes himself the 7 laws of Noah. What did they just teach? Are they trying to say that Rashi is wrong? It was just one law and the Radak's right, that it's 7 laws? No. They're trying to show you it's the entire thing. If you poskin, I hate that word. If you poskin, it's only this. Was that guy wrong? No. Because Torah is dimensional. It's not static. It's constantly moving. All angels are orphan. What about seraphim? Oh, well, we just deal with the orphans. Really? No hayot in y'all's deal? No, we're just orphan. You see, it's about becoming coming from a non-idolater. First step is to become a non-idolater. Good. You don't serve other gods. You don't serve the oversold the Tsar of Yeshu. Titus, Balaam, all the likes. And then you walk into the 7 laws. And now once you've walked into the 7 laws, you will expand yourself into other mitzvahs. by nature, right? And then you will go to the 30, which is where we started this whole class day one in Hula 91, right? Which are the righteous of the nations that keep the world from imploding on itself. And when Mashiach gets here, all that inversion, all that Gera, and we're going to go through Gera and eating next week, which is tied to the limb of a living animal, and why the two flaming swords kept Adam away from the garden. Because was Adam a Ger Toshah? Was he a stranger in a strange land once he got kicked out? But is he allowed to reside in Atzilut? Is everybody allowed to reside in Atzilut? In Olam Haba? Or the Ger? You bet you. Call yourself Noahide, call yourself whatever you want. You're called Ger Toshah, you're called a Ger. Because that spark has to return to its rightful owner. It's been a Klippa. So next week, we will get into that. And the Torah is amazing, and the sages are amazing, and I'll see y'all next week. How do you? I get it.